I found three things quite amusing yesterday when I watched.
Can I guess one?
Yeah.
Was it the umbrellas?
Yes, yeah. Miyoshi, it was like a magic trick. He'd get the ball, he'd disappear, you wouldn't see him again. I thought, where's he gone? He literally didn't see him, did you? It
Yeah.
literally just disappeared, and it panned off somewhere. So it's almost like he just went into an umbrella abyss and didn't come out of it as well. That was the one. So welcome back to Small Earth Alliance FC, and Birmingham City have now completed their first friendly against Padeborn, which took place in Austria, as we know. The result was a 5-0 win to Paderborn, and saw some reactions on social media in terms of Blues fans not happy. But we have to bear in mind it is a friendly, and we just want to discuss today what we think this means, what we learned from that friendly, and just get some general feelings between me and Matt about how that sets us up for the rest of our pre-season and even moving forward. So you saw the match; we both watched it on YouTube, watched it live. Any initial thoughts on what on the performance?
So for me, I mean, pre-season friendlies are all about getting minutes in the legs. It's a chance for Chris Davies to experiment with his team. It's a chance to build relationships on the pitch. It's a chance for him to experiment, try new things, ultimately improve fitness and get the lads a little bit more match practice. And, I don't want to lose 5-0. I would like to have had a slightly more inspiring performance. But let's not forget, 27 players are on the Austria tour. 22 of them got some minutes in that game, and the majority of it was our youth team, very young players he was given a chance and a bit of a runabout. So I'm not pressing the panic button. It's pre-season. As I say, it's a chance to get the fitness levels up. It's a chance to experiment. Would have liked to see a little bit more, and for me, there's no need to panic just yet.
No, me neither. And I looked at the starting line. In fact, I'll read the starting lineup. So if anybody who didn't watch the match, can actually have an appreciation really for the team we've actually played. I'd be worried if this was our last pre-season friendly. We'd have to play Reading in a few
100%.
days. But it's not. It's our first one.
And also, this team had played 3 pre-season games before us, so they were already a little bit more match fit and a little bit more match ready. Not an excuse. It's just an observation to know that they've been playing for a little bit longer this pre-season, and their fitness levels are going to always be slightly higher than Blues, because that was our first game this pre-season.
Yeah, and also as well, they're a second-level German team, so they're equivalent of a championship, and they're expected to do quite well this season as well. And they're more advanced in their pre-season, as you mentioned, so there's no need to press the panic button. I mean, it is a pre-season friendly, but this is the starting lineup we went with. In fact, if you didn't watch the game, Birmingham City Supporters, what Chris Davies did, he chose a different 11 for the first half and substituted the whole lot and put a different 11 on in the second half. In the first half, we started with Bailey Peacock-Farrell, then we had Ethan Laird, Fogarty, Miyoshi, Paik, Anderson, Maswi, May, Donovan, Fairney and Keller. So that's 5 youngsters in that starting lineup. And
Ethan Laird was captain as well.
Ethan Laird was captain. In the second half, just so that you know who the lineup was, it was Ryan Alsop, Buchanan, Sanderson, Hansen, sorry, I put my glasses on for this last one, Hall, Jukovic, Pendleton, Kamara, James, Bateman and Home. Again, teams peppered with young players, and I think I agree with you. It was all about getting game time in their legs, trying to build up their stamina. There was no Dembele, Bielik, and no Tyler Robertson. I believe that they had niggles. They didn't want
Shock
to
horror, Tyler Roberts on the injury table.
Yeah, that crossed my mind. I think a lot of Blues fans, he's already injured. It's almost like mirroring last season. So that's the team that Birmingham City went with in terms of both halves. And, you can't really read much into it because there's no way that any of those teams are going to be anywhere near the starting lineup. In fact, Chris Davies mentioned that there's around about 12 to 15 of those players that are likely to be part on the journey, and the youngsters are probably going to go back to playing on the under 23s, under 21s, under 18s as well. But one thing it did show me, though, is how threadbare our team is.
Literally, that was going to be my next point.
Yeah.
We are so paper thin on the ground, aren't we? We really need to get some players in. At the time of recording, we've got just under a month until that first game at home against Reading. Yeah. We need... What do you reckon, between 5 and 8 players to come through the door? Somewhere in that region?
I think we'll see between 8 and 10.
Okay.
More.
That's a lot.
That's on top of the 4 that we've already got.
Yeah.
Because you got to factor in that players may go as well.
Fair enough, yeah.
So we have to have more additions because particularly in certain positions you can see. I mean, we were very, very.
We haven't got a single centre defensive mid, really.
No, I was going to say the back was the big concern.
Yeah, agreed. And there were some decent performances. I thought Ramal Donovan.
Yeah. He was busy, wasn't he?
Looked quite bright. There was a little pockets of things from Keshi Anderson in there. You know, little things here and there that you saw from players that was quite nice. I mean, overall, you know, when you get thumped 5-0, it's always going to be a disappointing performance. And with the experimenting that Chris Davies was doing, but that was my key highlight and my takeaway. We need to get some serious players in over these next few weeks because we need time for them to gel. We need time for them to adapt. And Chris Davies is going to want them to gel before that first game of the season. And there's a few key positions in the spine of the team we need to recruit. And not just thin on the ground in terms of numbers, because I agree, you almost want at least one player in your position to take over. So, you know, injuries, suspensions, all these different things. But we need more seniority as well. We need more leadership. We need more commanding in those areas, because not only are we thin on the ground in terms of literal numbers, it's the characters and the personality types that we have. We're still too much of a passive team, and Chris Davies has got this agenda of this fast-paced, dynamic football. He needs the players to do that, and I don't think we're quite there yet to really hammer home his style of football. I think we need to get more players in for him to really get that style of football he wants to play.
I think we got like a little glimpse of what he wants to do, because I noticed that they were trying to do a high press. We were pretty much playing with 3 at the back. It was 2 wing backs, wasn't it, that we were playing, and that had its risk. In fact, Laird, I don't know if you noticed, he seems to be drifting into the middle of the park, didn't he? When we were going forward.
I noticed that.
Next one. That did make us a little bit vulnerable. But as I said, the back line were very, very inexperienced. We had a few of our regulars. I think Buchanan, Laird and Sanderson were the only what we would classify as senior players over the two halves, and they didn't all play in the same half together. Yeah. So the back line was fundamentally young players, and you could tell. Yeah,
because there was moments of sloppiness, wasn't there? From young and experienced players.
Gave the ball away. A couple of the goals were sloppy, where the ball was given away, all the players were tackled. I think that's just down to inexperience.
A couple of good goals though from their point of view. There was a couple of decent finishes in there, but we definitely handed them several of their goals through sloppiness and I think a lack of experience. But that shows because it's a pre-season friendly and he was playing a lot of youth, especially at the back, weren't he?
Yeah. I think that it was clear the way that we were pressing that you could see that it is going to create vulnerabilities, and we did say that this high press is high risk, because it's all right pressing high if you win the ball. And fair play, we won the ball a few times on a high press, which is really good. But a couple of times they cut us open because we didn't win the high press, created gaps at the back. And a couple of times, if their players would have looked to the left a little bit, they have 3 players, two players free on a couple of occasions. They hit the post as well, didn't they? So they could have scored more goals.
But that's the risk of the high press. It's high risk, high reward. But if it doesn't pay off, you can be sliced open because you're exposed on the other side of the pitch. And if they can get it over there quickly, they can really break quite quickly. So the high press is a high-risk strategy to some extent. And, I just want to remind people, in 2009, we lost 4-1 to Crewe Alexandra in a pre-season friendly, and we went on to finish 9th in the Premier League that season. And this weekend just gone, Sunderland lost to Gateshead, a National League team. It's pre-season. These things happen. Do not panic. Do not press that alarm button just yet. We'll be fine. And I think we can't really judge it until we get to that final pre-season game of the season, because we'll be a lot more set as a team. There'll be a lot more structure. The players will be set. Chris Davies would have had an additional 4 or 5 games in charge in pre-season, and we can really start to move on from that point. But this is a chance to get some fitness in. It's a chance to experiment. It's definitely not time to panic. And don't get me wrong, would I have liked to see us score a goal or not concede 5 and have a bit more of a better performance? Of course I would. But on the flip side, it was also good to see some of our youngsters get a little bit of a run around and some minutes on the pitch as well. So, again, obvious thing to say, not a great performance, not a great result, not pressing the panic button, and I look forward to pushing on against Solihull Moors on Wednesday evening this afternoon.
I think Chris Davies is likely to play youngsters as well. Yeah. I think I reflected on this because I thought, one thing we said in our recent video when we talked about pre-season, one of the things we want to get out of it is we get that winning mentality back. Now, I know this is my mind is telling me this is a pre-season friendly. We're playing all youngsters. They're a better quality side than us because they're championship level German team. That's what my mind is telling me. My heart is saying, I still don't want to lose.
Of course we don't.
I don't want to lose. It's almost
lose.
like to the Blues fans who have been so used to losing, all of this positivity in terms of what's going on after pitch, season ticket sales, and all this momentum going into the new season. That defeat almost puts salt into a wound that we've got very, very exposed at the moment. So there's lots of Blues fans at the moment out there that are actually feeling really vulnerable because we're just used to it, and we've had all these expectations that we are going to just be improving now. We're going to start winning games, and that was, to me, even though I know, and I absolutely know it was a friendly, I know we were playing youngsters, I still don't like losing.
Of course we
I
don't.
don't want to be beaten 5-0,
especially 5-0,
even in a pre-season friendly. I want to build a positive mindset along the players, and also as well, I don't know what you think, Matt, as well. I get that we have to introduce young players. I get that, right, because they're part of the lifeblood of the club and how we move forward. But I'm just wondering what the benefit of using so many young players in preparation for the season, when most of those young players, with the greatest respect, are not going to play a major part in our main season. So I get we need to introduce them, but why not introduce one or two of them and actually use pre-season with the main bulk of players that we've got? And I know that there's a risk of injuries and stuff like that, of course, and it is a risk. But I just that's the one thing that crossed my mind. The benefit of using so many young players. I'm not disputing we have to use them, but they're going to develop in their own way. And obviously, when they catch the eye of the various people at their under 23s, under 18s, they may get introduced into the team. But I just don't understand why we were paying like 5 youngsters at the start of the first half and about the same amount.
Well, it was a completely different team in the second half.
Yeah, I don't see the benefit of that to anybody. It's getting game time into the legs of the youngsters, but. And again, like we said, I think it just demonstrates we haven't got enough players in the squad to pick a different 11 that are likely to be competitive for first-team places, and that shows massive gaps in our squad.
Yeah, because I knew we were light on the ground. I didn't realise how light we were until I saw this team against Padeborn. And against Padeborn, because they're that level in the league in Europe, why wouldn't he have started a bit of a better team against Padeborn and then maybe started the youngsters against Solihull Moors on the Wednesday? Because that's a little bit more of a even more of a
I think the Padeborn fixture is almost like should have been your last one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Should have been because they're a good quality side, isn't it? As well? I found 3 things quite amusing yesterday when I watched.
Can I guess one? Yeah, was it the umbrellas?
Yes, yeah. Miyoshi, it was like a magic trick. He'd get the ball, he'd disappear, you wouldn't see him again. Where's he gone? he literally didn't see him, did you? Literally just disappeared, and it panned off somewhere. So it's almost like he just went into an umbrella abyss and didn't come out of it as well. That was the one.
But what made me laugh about that is some Blues fans were commenting saying, "Can you just put umbrellas across the whole pitch so I've not got to watch it, please?"
The second one was when we had a break. I think it was in the first half. Chris Davies was doing like a team talk, and the referee blew the whistle to start the game again, and our players were still in the huddle talking. And they was like, "Come on, lads!" What's he starting for? The referee.
The ref was a bit odd, actually. He made a couple of.
Well, this is the third funny one. Was hilarious when we had the corner. JJ was clearly fouled, and it was a penalty, and he booked the Padeborn player, and that's just to retake the corner.
It's bizarre.
If you book the player, I mean, I know it doesn't make any difference. It's pre-season. It would have been a penalty and probably a goal for us, but it's just I thought that's a weird one. Like, having been an ex-referee myself, you think, well, he obviously doesn't know the laws, because if you book a player for, which he did, for a foul in the penalty box, that's a penalty.
It's an offence, of course it is, and
then everyone's sort of looking around. So there were some sort of slightly amusing things. Fair play to the Blues fans who went as well. I think there was 300 to 400 roundabout, I believe. And actually, I looked on YouTube. At one point, there's nearly 8,300 Blues fans watching that live game on YouTube.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interest there from Blues fans. But I say Blues fans, it's a difficult one. We lost 5-0 in the pre-season friendly, and we know that there's some negative comments, as there always is, really, after matches.
Yeah. Someone said, "Bring back Rooney."
I've seen some really, really amusing comments.
And with Blues fans, as we always say, we don't take ourselves too seriously. So I think a lot of the comments were tongue-in-cheek. A lot of it was banter. A lot of it was a joke. But I think there are a few genuine fans, like you said, Dad. We've been through the mill this past 12, 13 years especially. We've got Chris Davies now. We've got this new energy in the club, Nighthead, all the money. And then when you do go and you get absolutely walloped 5-0, it is a bit of a... it's like a bit of a gut punch, isn't it? And I know that sounds silly because it's a pre-season friendly, but no one wants to see their team lose. However, I would still still hit home the message. It's a pre-season friendly. There's no need to panic. And for me, it was more about fitness levels, getting that match practice, and giving the youngsters a bit of a run. Because that really is what it was. It was a lot of youngsters.
Yeah. And realistically, you know, those starting 11s I read out a little bit earlier near the beginning. There's no way that any of those 11s are going to be anywhere near the starting line. I was really impressed as well with Emil Hansen as well.
Yeah.
He looked really zippy. And don't forget, you know, he wasn't in the same half as Alfie Mad. Looks as a combination of those two as well.
Agreed.
I'll tell you who I thought was good as well when he came on. And you know, obviously someone who's speculated to be going is JJ. He gave us a bit of bite and held the ball a little bit in there as well. So there were little glimpses of and some of the football we played at various points was half decent. And we got a glimpse into what Chris Davies was doing. So I think we can take a lot from that. It's just, you know, this open wound is losing games, and that's what's really sort of I think has really sparked this sort of, oh my word, what's happening here by a lot of fans. But it is a pre-season friendly at the beginning of our journey, and I think that we move on to the next game. Now.
We'll be fine. We move on to Solihull Moors on Wednesday. Move on to the next friendly, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I know that a lot of you Blues fans would have watched the game on YouTube or on Blues TV. It was streamed live, and as I say, me and Matt sort of have explained what we felt about the game, what we got out of it, and we do move on now, and we've got to remember, Blues fans, this is a building process, and also as well, I suspect we're going to see quite a number of new signings coming into the club, added to those players that we saw in that pre-season friendly. So I think our starting lineup against Reading is going to bear absolutely no resemblance to anything we saw against Padeborn. So there's no need to panic, and it's all right saying that. I feel it as much as you do, but it is a pre-season friendly. Now we move on to the next one. So what do you think, Birmingham City supporters? Did you watch the game? Any bright lights that you saw that you might worth that we haven't mentioned that you want to sort of add a comment below? Please let us know, and we're always happy to see your comments. If you did enjoy the video, as always, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't checked out our social media channels, then make sure you do. We have an X page and an Instagram page, and you'll see those handles appearing on the screen right now. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Matt will see you on the next video.